What up? What up?
Woo! Let's go.
It's a good episode already.
It sure is, bro.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Common Footman Podcast, episode 113. He is Juan and I'm Sean, and every week we get together, have a few drinks, talk about things going on in the world, try to focus on things making an impact, whether they be good, bad, or otherwise. And it's hot as hell down here in Florida, goddammit.
Yo, you ain't lying, bro.
Hit him with a drink of the day.
Ooh, talk about making an impact. This drink done already. I think Sean trying to sleep with me, yo. Goddamn. Yo, this is the Black Raspberry Oak. It sound regal as fuck, bro. This drink, it sound like a horror movie too.
If you are watching the YouTube, we are not wearing ties.
Yep. Yeah. Nope. Nope. But yeah, this is a good one, man. This is a great one. The Black Raspberry Oak, and as the name implies, there are some berries in here, man. So we muddled 2 blackberries, 4 raspberries, and some mint. Muddled it in a glass. Added a shot of the Noble Oak bourbon. Added a half an ounce of simple syrup. Stirred it up.
The lime.
Oh, a wedge of lime.
Yep.
You're right. So a wedge of lime. Then stirred it up. Added some crushed ice. Topped it off with club soda and then a clapped mint leaf. And I think that was it, man. Stirred it up.
Stirred it up.
It was this thing.
Stir it up.
Stir
Stir it up after you put in the club soda because it kind of gets the whole fizz in the entire drink. Yeah, man, this one, I found like a version of it online. And then when I went to the grocery store, I picked up a few extra ingredients, added it in, and was not disappointed. So we'll got a picture on IG for y'all.
Phenomenal.
This shit is good, people.
It is so good, man.
And I don't know if the bourbon matters. I mean, I would say for the true bourbon drinkers, the bourbon always matters.
Dude, this Noble Oak has hit. I would say the Woodford Reserve, the one that we do, would go really well with this as well. But this Noble Oak, we've had it like maybe 2 or 3 times now on here. It's hit every time, man. It's so good.
Yeah, so check it out,
so
people.
Good.
Noble Oak. What is this? Noble Oak Double Oak Bourbon is what we're using today. Go to your local grocery store, get some ingredients, hit it up. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, man. This stuff is fantastic, man.
All right, bro. Hit him with your carbon footprint.
Yo, man, my carbon footprint may or may not exist, man. This is going out to this computer-generated influencer. You guys can go follow her on IG. Her name is Lil Michaela, and she's a digital 19-year-old who has partnered with like PacSun to create social content, and she has 3 million followers. She's also partnered with Prada and Dior and Calvin Klein, and she's basically like a character in the metaverse.
So it's not a person.
No, it's a virtual person. It's a NFT or a virtual being or an avatar, whatever you want to call it.
So what makes her hip? You know, like why I want to follow her?
Just cool, like her persona. So like the way whoever's created her has made her sort of likable and cool and fashionable and this whole nine. And I thought, like, well, first off, the financier in me is like, fuck, I don't have to pay a human. You remove that element. I can make this person think and feel however I want them to. Like, I don't have this crap shoot of like human beings are humans, right? Like, if I sign you to an endorsement deals, how many people do you see now losing their endorsement deals, right? Because they do something questionable or they, like. You go.
Yeah, you don't have that problem.
No, you basically you're programming this human being, and because of the state that we're in, people gravitate towards like we don't even care if it's fake. Like because of video games, because of movies, because of anime, because like everything. Like we gravitate towards these virtual personalities, and this thing is. I mean, obviously, again, 3 million followers.
Have you seen the monkey that Snoop Dogg has like endorsed? It's like an NFT. You know, like the old what's the
like the Bored Ape thing?
Yes.
Okay.
It's one of those.
What?
But he's got one, and they've created even like this costume. So when they do like concerts, the dude comes out.
What?
The NFT comes out, and he's got an Instagram page and shit
on his.
Yeah. I gotta find out who it is. I can't remember who it is, and it was taking me too long to find it. But yeah, that's crazy, man, and just the fact that you can essentially create anybody you want.
Yeah.
And they can be hip and cool and never get in trouble and never do anything sort of out of the societal norms and all that shit. Yeah.
Dude, if you think about, like, you go like, oh, what would be our perfect influencer for our brand?
Right.
You can create it now. And they're going to have as equally as good. Now, granted, you have to have them build a following. You have to have them build a persona. You know, you still have to put in that sort of legwork.
Yep.
But it's doable. And if you're willing to put in the work, the payoff is I don't have to deal with this human on the other side. Like, it's funny because we always think about humans getting replaced in these normal jobs, like, whether it's a cashier, or stocker, or whatever that is. But, like, we're in this era now where even as an influencer you can be replaced, right? Like, where we're paying you for your personality, we're going, nah, we can create something that does that.
That's
like,
crazy.
It's a crazy time.
I just watched a video on like AI. That's artificial intelligence for those of y'all who don't know. And it's scary in how far AI has already come, and then what is in like the not so near future. Or not so far future, rather.
Okay.
Where you say like you just create the perfect being, right? So instead of creating the perfect ambassador for your brand, you essentially create the perfect being that then maybe at one point will look at you and go, you're kind of holding us back. Maybe we'll get rid of you.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. But that's nuts. Lil Michaela is the
Lil Michaela. So and Michaela, let me spell that out because it is a little unique. It's at Lil Michaela, so LIL, and then it's MIQUELA.
Ooh, I misspelled that.
Michaela. So Michaela Latina. So it's a Michaela Latina version. Yeah, man, this shit's cool. I just thought it's cool, and I also felt like, again, like, we always talk about sort of leaving your carbon footprint. This isn't gonna be like the end. This isn't a one and done. This isn't a one hit wonder. I think this is gonna be sort of the norm moving forward. This is gonna leave an imprint. And so this is why I felt like it was important to sort of call this out, because although it's not a real person, I think it is a person or an entity that will sort of have influence moving forward, or things like it will have influence moving forward for sure. So, yeah.
That's cool, man. Mine actually is going down not the same way, but definitely technology related. Mine's going to esports. This week, actually this past weekend, I watched the FNCS, which is the Fortnite Championship Series. And the only reason I watched it was because I do not play Fortnite. My sons do. I have one son who's really into it. They used to all be really into it, and then now they're sort of dwindled down to one. But his excitement. So he's essentially took over the main TV in the house.
Oh, wow.
They were streaming it on YouTube.
Like watching the Super Bowl for him, right?
Yes, bro. Super Bowl, the NBA finals, it was
Series,
like that. Yes, it was such an event for my son, and I don't like the game at all. Like, I don't want to watch it because it's essentially there's too much going on for me. I never really played it, so I don't understand it.
I could see that. Okay, yeah.
Right. So, but no different than maybe somebody who's never watched football to go like, a bunch of guys running around hitting each other. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know the rules. I don't know the premise. I don't know strategy. Yeah.
But what kept me, and I didn't watch the whole thing, but what kept me coming back was my son's excitement, and I compared it to, wow, man, like this is like us watching, a final sporting event in any major sports. And I mean, these guys had commentators during the game. Mm-hmm. They had commentators after each game. They did like a Europe, an East, and a West. That's right. But they had commentators during the game, after the game, very much like a sporting event, and folks that weren't necessarily pros, although they had pros sprinkled in. But they were able to speak intelligently about what was happening. And my son was stuck to the TV all day long, watching this. And what's even better is before it actually, or when it first started, he was in his room playing Fortnite. Within the Fortnite game, he was able to watch the event with other people and they're interacting. They're dancing because the Fortnite characters dance with each other.
Yep.
They're dancing with each other, and in the game was a big screen, and they're watching the FNCS on the big screen within the game. Dude, I was watching that shit just going like, wow, man, this is something that this generation, this like sort of this Gen Z, that I could see in the future going like, this is the major event.
Oh, 1,000%, man. Like, I found myself, so I have seen the Fortnite one in the past, and I have found myself in the last week or two, actually, because my brother is 28. My brother was, or gonna be 28, and he was watching the Call of Duty championships.
Ooh.
And
see, that I could probably watch better because I understand it.
Yeah, for sure. And then he was watching on his phone, and I remember putting it on the TV, and we started watching, and you get sucked in, and the same thing. It has announcers, it has people, there's players. He knows, like the people on the teams and all that.
Yes.
And then like you're watching that, and you're going, oh wow, this is the next big wave, because you're getting sucked into it, and they've done such a good job, and it's only going to get better, of the way they televise it, of showing you sort of where the player you're watching, where the other players are.
Yes.
They've done really good, I think, in sort of making it like watchable on TV, because there's certain sports that don't translate well on TV, or just certain events. And it's entertaining, man. So as a gamer, like I like to game. I'm not great, but I love to game, and so like I see, like I can watch a Call of Duty, and I can watch a Fortnite, and I can appreciate sort of the gaming behind it. So from that perspective, I go, oh wow, they did a really good job of showing you what it's actually like and what you're seeing in the perspective of the player. But yeah, man, I think this is gonna be our like this will surpass like what the World Series was to us as a kid. Like I remember the World Series was must watch for me as a kid, right? Like baseball was must watch. And then I just saw recently the guy in baseball who's about to get the highest paid contract of all time. I've never even heard of him. Like Juan Soto.
Oh, Juan Soto. Yeah,
Never.
Yeah.
I don't even know who that is.
Until I saw him for the Nationals, and now
San Diego
picked him up, right?
No clue who this guy was, right?
Nasty.
But there's guys in the Call of Duty League or even Twitch streamers that I know that I see get big contracts, and I'm like, oh yeah, makes sense. And I don't know who Juan Soto is, who's about to get for $500 million.
Right.
Like it's just insane to me how quick esports is got. But I get it, dude. I with my kids, man, I love this. Me and both of my kids have gotten into this game called Overwatch.
Okay.
And Overwatch is pretty old now. It's probably like 6 or 7 years old. And there's a second part coming out this year. But anyway, so we play because so me and my daughter play on the PC. My son plays on his Nintendo Switch, but it's cross-platform, so we can all play together. And so we play it all the time. And while you're playing Overwatch, there's a little field that goes, oh, Overwatch League is live right now. And you can watch the league live in the middle of your match. You can do that stuff. Yeah, and you can go see like the pro players or like the kids who play in the leagues.
Yep.
Like at that moment in time. And it's just like pro sports. They have like an Eastern Conference and a Western Conference, and they have like teams. And some of these teams are owned by like Mark Cuban and what, like.
Right.
So it's like.
And they do that with both Call of Duty and
I think League of Legends has a lot of owners in the.
And the other one, the Madden.
Oh yeah, Madden, FIFA.
Yes,
like all these guys have big toes.
So, Glad said that about kind of rooting for certain people or teams. So within East, like within each Euro, East and West playing time. He actually had people, like, he had a lineup of like 3 people or teams that he was rooting for within the East, within the Euro, the East, and the West.
Wow.
And so as these guys were winning or losing, so goes his mood. Wow. It was, I'm telling you, man, I was fascinated, man. Yeah. I was just like, oh my God, man. I've been, I've been a Bears fan since I was a kid. And I go, like, I have shed tears when they've lost, in what I perceive to be big moments, and this is the first time that I'm watching my youngest watch something in which that invoked emotions. And
the stakes were equally as high for him as they were for you when you were watching those, and you don't get it, right? You're going like, and then
no, I don't get it, but I'm watching him, and I'm going. I don't want you to be like, don't be a fanatic.
No.
But being a fan of a team and kind of going through those highs and lows, like, I don't know, man. I don't know if it teaches you anything or not, but it's a good experience.
Man, if anything, like you said, it's a good experience. It's something to root for. It's something to be joyous about. And yeah, because I'm the same way, man. I've cried over Yankee.
Right. Or you're at your lows, right?
Yeah. The Tennessee Titans were so bad at one point that you couldn't cry anymore because you'd run out of tears. But like, I remember them getting eliminated from playoffs, and I've watched them lose in the Super Bowl as a kid, and like.
Dude, I've been disappointed most of my life.
Oh yeah, you're a Bears fan.
Thank God for the Yankees.
Oh yeah. Like I got a spoiled run with the Yankees. You know what's crazy is how greedy I am as a fan. When I was the Yankees won their first World Series in that long string when I was about 10. And
96.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
And I got lucky and I got to go to a lot of those games and stuff. And they had this ridiculous run where they won like 5 within like a decade or whatever it was, probably less. Like 7-8 years, and they would lose sometimes in the playoffs during that run, and I would cry. I was so spoiled. Like they'd won so much, and I would still cry as a kid when they lost, and I was so disappointed. Even though I had just witnessed them win, like one, and then maybe lose 1 or 2, and then win another World Series, and then lose 1, and then maybe win another World Series, and I would still cry every time they fucking lost and got eliminated. Like it meant that much to me. So I can like sort of look at these kids now when they see their favorite video game player and go, oh, that's what it's like to you. I think for us it's like this old school mentality of like maybe because there isn't the physicality or so we don't think behind it. Or like this masculinity that we think is behind sports that isn't behind esports.
Right.
But it's certainly the new wave of whether we want to call it a sports or entertainment or whatever
Absolutely,
it is, or competitive entertainment or whatever we want to call that. Yep. Like it's definitely the next wave.
And not for nothing, bro. Like, so when we were watching the Europe sort of portion of the world play, the purse was $300K for the first place team, $200K for the second place team, $150K for the third place team, and then I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I believe that it went down about $20,000 for each for the next team that was in fourth, fifth, sixth, all the way down to like the 50th place that ended up getting like $1,500.
Wow, man! I think and maybe we've spoken on about this on here before, but I remember, we've had this experience where my kids play a lot of video games, like whether it's on Switch or PC, like both my daughter and my son. And I remember people giving us crap about that. And my argument to that was always like, well, if they were playing basketball outside, would you care?
Right.
Like people would be like, oh, they watch
they can't see it.
They play too much video games. And I go, well, if they were playing basketball, you wouldn't care. Because, the basketball, it's like, oh, maybe it's because it's like a physical activity. Maybe it's because they're like, oh, they could get to the NBA one
that's
day.
Right.
Oh,
what it could lead to.
But I go, but if my kid makes $100K a year, and I'm not saying that that's what it's going to happen. It probably leads to nothing. But if my kid plays video games and it leads to them making $50K a year, they're a lot happier than the person making, $50K a year, maybe sitting behind a desk doing whatever basic job. You know what I mean? Like I think for me as a parent, I've always looked at it as like, you got to nurture whatever it is that they're into. Like, I don't care if you're into basket weaving, I'll nurture that. And if it turns into something or it doesn't, cool. But I gave you an opportunity to sort of nurture that interest. And so I think the video games thing has become one of those things where you go, man, you see these kids play all day, all night, all this stuff, and then now you can't make a living off that one day because some of these kids are going like, yeah, Mom,
we can.
Yeah, I paid for your house. Like you look at, Mr. Beast, obviously making YouTube, but he's also big on streaming. And the kid last year, who was like the 15-year-old who made like $5 million on Fortnite, the kid who was the Fortnite champ last year. Yeah, I think he got a $5 million payout. I think it is Booga.
I thought it was like 3, but regardless.
$3 million is a lot of money, bro, to make as a 15, 16-year-old to play a video game. Like, that's
yeah. And then he was so he was on the East Coast this time. He was the only name that I knew.
Yeah.
But my son knew a bunch of others, and he's like, oh, I'm going for so and so because of for these reasons, and then I'm going for Booga. If he loses, and I'm gonna go for Booga for these reasons. And he kind of had like this whole story in his head of like, this is who I'm rooting for and why. And then as those players got eliminated, like to see him, like to be not distraught, because even at the end, even the ones even in the games where the folks he was rooting for didn't win anything, he would be kind of sad. but he will be so excited about the next round of games.
The next round of games, yeah. It's like us watching a 7-game series. Yep. Oh, they lost this game, but next game, they might have
series.
It. Like,
yeah,
man, I love it, man. I love where esports is going. I love that whole thing. I just like to see the evolution of stuff. I know that, like, there's certain things, even the NFL, it's not going to last forever. There's going to be the next wave of things. As romantic as I can be about sort of the stuff that I grew up with and stuff that I've watched, I love to see these kids sort of pave their own path of, like, whether it's entertainment, whether it's competitiveness, whether, whatever it is. It's cool to see. I also love to see people monetize passions. Like, I love that. Like, in video games was one of those things where I grew up playing and was a passion, and was one of those things where, like, you can't play video games all day and yada yada. And to see people be able to monetize that in whatever way it is, whether it's streaming, whether it's competitive gameplay, whether, hopefully, I don't know if do any of your kids have interest in entering tournaments, like even like amateur tournaments or any of that? Like,
you know what, I talked to them about that, and I know, like, when they were into Fortnite, they were trying to get up to certain levels so they could kind of like surpass where most people were, so they can maybe get into tournaments. But then it kind of died down, and I think, like I said, like, the youngest is into it. What I tell him is, like, listen, man, you got to do the school thing, but if this is your passion and that's what you like to do, understand that you may not want to do that forever.
Yeah.
But if that is able to make you a living for the first, few years of your adult life, then, like, go for it, man. Like, it doesn't really matter, man. As long as parents, I think that sometimes we have like kind of like goals in our minds for kids of whether, they'll be a doctor, a lawyer, or these traditional things that bring success, right? A level of quote unquote success to our children. But I think that being a gamer it's just like being an athlete. There's a very low chance of you being a professional athlete. There's a very low chance of you being a professional gamer as well. But the opportunities are there and they exist.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I would rather my child, or I'll extend this to anyone that I know. I think I would extend it anyone that I know. If you can make 30 to 40 grand a year doing something you absolutely love versus doing something that you're miserable doing every day, and I'll spare you what those things are, but, like, there's plenty of minimum wage jobs out there that you go, oh, I could make that playing video games, or, basket weaving, or, making videos online about peanut butter or whatever the fuck it is. Like,
yeah.
Like, if you could make a living doing those things, like, yeah, man, you could make minimum wage doing shit that you hate. So I would much rather that outcome of monetizing a passion and something that you love. You don't have to be rich. I think the sort of measurement of success should be do you wake up every day, like, absolutely wanting to do what you're about to do? And so maybe that should be success. And you go, like, obviously you don't want to be in poverty, but I think for most people, if you're content with your life and you're able to, eat and live and sleep somewhere and whatever, like, I think a lot of us would trade sort of circumstance for a passion and being comfortable in that whole thing and not being miserable every day you wake up to go do stuff. So, like, yeah, I love this, man. I love the esports. I love, I love anytime anyone's able to monetize a passion, man. I'm all for it, man. I love seeing this because it just opens the window for, like, this infinite amount of possibilities. And esports is not going anywhere, and it's been on this crazy run lately. I've been lucky to work with companies that have put on events for esports and have gotten in early on some of these sports events, and they're so fun, and it's at the forefront. And I think we're just scratching the surface about what these things can be and how you televise them and how you show them live. I know the local colleges here are starting esports, like, arenas where, like, I think even Full Sail College has its own esports complex.
Oh, wow.
Where you could join a team from the school, but then also there's, like, an arena type facility where they do events and they do that whole thing.
That's dope.
Yeah, man. So I think people are pouring money and resources and time into this, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger, and I really want to see. I used to think of, like, who the hell wants to watch people play? And then I started watching streamers all the time on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook.
There's a lot of people, bro.
There's a lot, man. And then even, dude, and I would say I've streamed, And I've gotten people watching me, and I'm like, even if it's 4 people, I'm like, why the fuck would you want to watch me play? I'm terrible. But it's also like, there's a market for anything and everything, and like, no matter how disinteresting you think you are, or how bad you think you are at a game, or whatever it is, like, people are gonna gravitate towards just, I think, authenticity, and you just doing something that you want to do.
Dude, there's a guy that my sons watch, and I don't know what his name is, but he's a streamer. I don't know if he's that great at the game, but he freaks out. So he has like, he lives with his mom, but he has like this room, and he goes in, and when he loses, he punches holes in the wall, and he throws chairs,
I know and like his
room is jacked up.
I know who you're talking about.
But I'm just saying, like, it's like, it doesn't, you never know what people are into, and sometimes, yes, he's a character, and sometimes, if you know what you think is normal, other people see as interesting.
Yep. And
so, shout out to Esports, man. Like I said, that's why I gave him that comment for
Disrespect, right? That guy's a total, like, he's a character. I think he has a whole...
I don't even know who that is.
He has a whole, I think, documentary and everything now. He's probably almost 40. This guy's got the mustache and the mullet and all this. And he created this character where he goes, I want to make it very much like a Batman. Where anyone can step into my shoes and be this character and sort of take the mantle on, like, in perpetuity. And it's he's not wrong. Like, whether you hate him, love him, you know, like, you go, oh yeah, I would watch a guy act like that because it's entertaining. Whether I'm watching to hopefully see him lose or see him win or see him freak out and punch a hole in the wall or whatever, I'm gonna watch no matter what. Like, I'm gonna watch, and that's all. At the end of the day, man, we just want entertainment.
Yeah, dude, and there's so many guys like that are on the internet that my son's watching, and I'll ask them, like, why do you watch that? And they'll go, oh, like, he's funny.
Yeah, dude.
And I don't think it's funny, but there's people out there that think it's funny, man. So again, a big shout out to the esports. I kind of see this event in the future as having like commercials and, you know, all this shit, whether, you know, some kind of sponsors that are giving money to the event for whatever reason, whether it's commercials,
huge sponsors
or otherwise. I didn't see, you know, again, this is on YouTube and there were no commercials.
Dude, League of Legends and all that is on like cable, like TBS.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Like Madden.
Yeah.
And FIFA and League of Legends, and these games are like CS:GO, like Counter-Strike. They're on network TV or like on cable TV, man. Like it's
coming, bro.
It coming. It absolutely is, man. Shout out! These guys are leaving their mark on the world, man. Like,
all right, man. Listen, talk to me about ITT.
Listen, yo, do you see our current snoozy president is been semi hard at work trying to pass some shit, but I saw he passed something today called like the something inflation, anti-inflation, or
yeah,
I don't even know what it's called,
but I don't know what,
man. I'm not sure.
What's it about?
There's a bunch of shit in there basically to trying to curb like inflation and stuff in the economy. But one of the things that he also passed was this: he canceled student loans, $3.9 billion in student loans for 200,000 students who attended ITT Tech. And
that's it.
The kind of person that attends ITT Tech, though, I would feel like is this exactly the kind of person that needs their student loans canceled. Because I don't know anybody who went to ITT Tech who's doing great in life right now.
I do.
But it's like going to DeVry.
Wait a minute, hold on.
Do you know anybody who went to DeVry and doing okay right now?
Almost DeVry.
Yeah, almost. There's a reason why it's an almost. Do you know anybody who went to DeVry or ITT Tech now who's in a great position in life right now?
I will say that I had been looking. So before I went into UCF, I was looking at DeVry, and they had just opened up a campus here in Orlando, and I went over there. And they talked a good game. I actually signed up for the classes, whatever.
DeVry?
DeVry.
Okay.
I go to my first day of classes. I go up to the room, and there's a sign on the door that says this class has been canceled. Go to the registrar's office. So I go over there. They ask for my schedule. I give it to them. And they go, oh, yeah, that class was canceled. Oh, yeah. And I've taken like 4 classes, by the way. 2 out of the 4 were canceled. And immediately, bro, right there, I go, cancel all of them.
Good for
and then
you,
she goes, no, you don't know. You can take other things and whatever. And I was like, no. I'm taking things because I was like a married man working. I had a house, so I had bills to pay.
Like I got bills and shit.
Yeah, right. And so I told her, I was like, yo, I picked classes based on my life. And no, I'm not like, you guys need to offer this offer these times in the classes, cancel all of them, I'm out.
Yeah, the flexibility was supposed to be half of the selling point, right? Of a device. So,
and they're expensive, by the way.
How much? That was literally my question. How much more expensive than you said UCF? So for those who aren't in Florida, that's the University of Central Florida. How much more expensive was the ride than UCF? Significantly,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
For a tech school, right? Like an ITT Tech is a tech school. So what like I look at this, we have another one here called the Kaiser, I think, and then
yes.
Lump all these schools together. Could you just go, who the fuck pays? And I think it's because the admission is easier, I'm guessing, because they don't really give a fuck about your grades. They just want to know whether you can pay or that somebody's going to pay, whether it's Uncle Sam or you or whatever. But like,
think about that.
These schools are significantly more expensive than state universities. Like why you would pick, say, DeVry or ITT Tech over like the University of Florida or University of Central Florida, whatever. Like, is bananas, and it's only because these guys sell you this like sort of pipe dream of, oh, you'll be done in 24 months and this and that, and it only costs you $50,000 for a year or whatever it is. And
I want to say one of the selling points on DeVry was they did trimesters.
Yep.
Right, so it wasn't like the typical fall and spring semester. You would do they would sort of shorter fall, shorter spring, and then shorter like summer semesters. So you have longer breaks between semesters.
But they charge you 4 times as much or 17 times as much. So
I was gonna do it, man. I had the GI Bill, I signed up, and then I pulled out.
Listen, I'm glad you didn't waste our tax dollars that way. I appreciate that.
But full disclosure, I got a family that went to ITT.
ITT?
So look out.
How they doing?
they doing all right.
They doing all right.
They doing all right. And but if they getting their
hopefully
their
they get this tuition forgiven, man. Because
is it in place?
Yeah, he signed almost $4 billion that is forgiven in student loans if you went to ITT Tech. So you did it.
You know what? I bet the person that I know just paid it off like last year.
Yo, that was I would be fucking livid, bro. I'd be livid if I paid off my student loan and they'd forgive it the next. I get that argument. Like, I've heard that from a lot of people going like, hey, man, I paid for my school. It would be easier to swallow if it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago. But, like, if I just paid it off and then they're like, yeah, we forgave all of it, I would be fuming. Because student loans are that shit that never goes away, like on your credit. Like, like you could be 99.
No, you're right.
And student loans are like,
you can't file bankruptcy on those
nope.
shits.
Everything goes away except student loans, man. Again, that should tell you all you need to know about where student loans are, which is crazy, bro, for education. I just heard this, maybe it was Andrew Tate. I just heard this week, and I go, man, that shit is so accurate. He goes, we value, like, education, obviously. If you get student loans and you went to, like, a Harvard, right, or a Yale or Stanford and all that, I think most of us would, yes, it would be a lot of money, but I don't think any of us would feel sort of ripped off. But he had this point about, and it reminded me because someone this week was giving me shit about my car.
Okay.
And
what about it?
Well, the commentary was like, yo, you sell drugs or something about the car. And
yo, you have showed up with about 4 different cars in the last 12 months.
You're not wrong.
Yo, every time I rode to Juan's house, it's a different car. The last 4 podcasts, I've had different cars. Or at least 3.
You're not wrong, bro. In the last month, 3 cars. Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, you're not wrong. But I guess the comment to that was that when you see that, like, even for you, like, when you see that, your first reaction is like, bro, what kind of drugs you selling or what kind of thing? No one ever goes, where'd you go to school? what do you study?
Oh,
what
that's true, bro.
Like, it goes like, we value education so little that we see successful people or presumably successful people, and we never go, hey, man, what'd you go to school for?
I'm pretty sure we talked about this. Either, I don't know, it was last week or the week prior. I said that same thing, man, where it's like, no one ever asks you where you went to school.
None.
Or like, when you think about, like, I think what I said was, like, you talk about the billionaires, right? Like, the Bill Gates and the Elon Musks and the who's the Amazon guy?
Jeff Bezos.
No one goes, where did they go to school?
Nope. I don't know if Jeff Bezos even went to school.
No, me neither.
Yep.
All I know is that he started in the garage.
Yep. And, bro, if I told you the amount of times that someone's asked me if I sell drugs.
It's been a lot?
Oh, my God, bro. Like, first off, years ago by neighbors before I had this, but even now, where based on the car that I drive or whatever, like, I've been asked whether I sell drugs or whether I do shit online or like, I've had guesses just about everything or questions.
Be like, what do you think?
Yeah, dude, no one has ever asked me, what did you go to school for? The closest thing, and it's hilarious, I order from the same pizza place all the time.
Yep.
I love this pizza place. It's a little local spot. And the delivery driver from there did one time go, hey, man, can I ask you what you do for a living? That was the closest thing to, like, not being something hella offensive that someone has asked me what I do for a living. And he was so sincere and so curious. And it had to do with, like, the fact that every time he came over, he was like, he just goes, man, every time you come over, like, there's something new or something, like, cool that you did, whether it was, like, something in the house or the car or whatever. Like, he was just like,
or the fucking rotating lights outside.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was like I think it was that. I think it was like my lights. And he just goes, weren't those a different color last time? And I'm like, yeah, they changed colors, something like that. And he just goes, and it was almost like he was so sincere, and it was like it came from a place where you just could tell he wasn't being malicious, where he was actually, like, really curious, where he just goes, man, do you mind if I ask you what you do for a living? And that was the closest I've ever gotten to, like, a non-offensive thing where people just go, yo, man, you sell drugs or, like, thing. And it's hilarious because I go, no one has ever asked me where I've gone to school or what I studied or what I think. I go, we value education so little that subconsciously we don't even go to the, hey, where'd you go to school?
Yeah.
So it just made me think when Biden forgave, like, ITT Tech, so true, I'm like, a fucking course, because no one has ever said, I went to ITT Tech and you went, wow, that's awesome, man. Like, despite the fact that it's probably one of the most expensive educations you could get with the least return on your investment. Like, it's insane, man.
No, it's true, bro. Dude, I gotta tell you about this shit, man. Remember a couple weeks ago we talked about we had an episode, Lake Placid. So I think, based on the commentary, we talked about the 40-year-old or the 48-year-old or whatever it was having sex with, like, the 15-year-old.
Yes. 15-year-old boy.
Yes.
Okay.
40-something-year-old woman, I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
Having sex with a 15-year-old boy.
Okay, because that's a very important distinction.
It is. It is.
Okay.
And so my wife brings it up. And she says, and I quote, she's like, what is, why the double standard? And I was like, well, because, boys are just different. Like if we don't want it to happen, it's not gonna happen. Typically in that scenario,
absolutely,
like, I want it.
I think the difference is in the age group, right? Because of where boys get sort of physically stronger. If we were talking about an 8-year-old boy, a 9-year-old boy, it's a little different. But you're talking about a 15-year-old boy, where you go
in the physical prime.
Yeah, in the physical prime. Like we talk about this shit on the show. Like, your boys are 14, 15? 15 now. Do your boys, if a 40-year-old woman,
I bet you Michael can't fuck him.
Yeah. Mr. Jackson.
Shout out to Cat Williams.
Shout out Cat, yo. Fucking legend. But I think that the important distinction there is like, your boys or any 15-year-old boy could defend himself against a 40-year-old woman. A 15-year-old girl couldn't defend herself against a 40-year-old man.
Right.
Whether or not we like that is a completely different conversation, but it's a fact of the matter is that it's not looked at as gross because a 15-year-old boy can defend himself, right? Because a 15-year-old boy, like I said, is physically is already probably stronger than most women, is already more imposing than most women, especially today. Right. So I think there's a very important distinction of like maybe the boy at 9, 10. Completely agree. Right. You're taking advantage of 9, 10-year-old boy. The boy at 15 is choosing to be there.
Yes. No.
Like
agreed.
He can absolutely step away from that situation or drop kick this bitch and go like, Mrs. Jackson. Don't touch my pee-pee. And then fucking get away.
Dude. So she follows up with that. And she's like, well, what do you think? Like, even when we were young, like, you know, at that teenager age, like we don't want it. And she goes,
yeah.
If it was the other way around, she's like, that 48-year-old dick hits different. She's like, what if we said?
She not wrong.
And the other thing, so what did she say?
Listen, your wife got the perspective of 20. She could go back 20 years ago and go, that dick 20 years ago versus that dick now hit a little different.
Oh, dude, but the whole double standard shit, like we had a conversation, but then she started going off on that. And she said a couple of things, man, and I was freaking dying. And I was like, we're talking about that shit next week.
Okay.
But basically, she was like, just that. She goes like, oh, it's a double standard, which I agreed.
Yes.
But then she's like, oh, you know, what if we were like that? You know, like that 48-year-old dick hit different. Or it's just something else, man, that I can't remember. I wrote something down here, but I can't. This doesn't make sense. So I must have been
just read it. I want to hear it. Let me try to decipher.
She goes, is that pussy on?
Is that pussy on?
Yeah, no.
Oh, is that pussy on as I'm of age pussy, 18 pussy versus a 48-year-old?
I don't remember, man. I don't remember. But, man, like when she was talking, she had me dying, bro.
I would say, dude, as someone who has girl and a boy,
yep,
there is absolutely a double standard. And the double standard for me comes from a place of no one's out there trying to rape boys. And if there are, right, I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say over 90% of rapes happen to women, not men, or boys, or girls, not boys. And so I think it comes from this place of like feeling, again, my 8-year-old son couldn't defend himself against certain things, but it very rarely happens to him, versus my 8-year-old daughter is more vulnerable to a man, like the physicality. And I think like sometimes we, like as a society, we like to ignore the fact that like there is a, dude, I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, bro. If you stripped away all the creature comforts of today and we went back to like basic sort of like caveman sort of ways of life, it would just become like the men who can defend sort of the tribe, and it would boil down to like the physicality, right? The physical components. It would be like women who can raise babies and take care of home and whatever, right, and pick fruit and whatever else, and it would be the men who can defend you against the lions.
Yeah, just getting down to the tribes, to the biological.
It would get down to the biological, like where we're sort of programmed like genetically. So I think we like to ignore that a lot of times in life because of this whole like stage that we're in, where we're just like everything should be equal and because
society's too good.
Because society's too good. It's good, too fun. It's comfortable. It's safe. But there absolutely is a double standard. Like I look at my daughter and my son absolutely differently. Now listen, my son has certain things where I go, okay, he's gonna be a little more vulnerable than the average boy,
right,
his age. But you know, when people go like, will your son have a later curfew? Probably. Because people aren't out there trying to rape my son at midnight, right? But they are. My daughter, unfortunately, is a target, right? Like, guys are fucking creeps. We're gross. Like, the vast majority of men commit crimes.
Yep.
Like, like, there's all this data that shows us that women are in more danger than men. than boys. So I think it's hard to not ignore that when you're making decisions, even when it comes to your kids. Like, you want to, like, there's a difference between fair and being equal. And I think we get caught in this weird space of like, what's fair is I can tell both of my kids of like, hey, the world is less dangerous for you as a boy post 10 p.m. than it is for you as a girl. It's not fair, but it's definitely, I'm treating you equal because I'm going, hey, you need to be home at this time and you need to be home at this time. Yep. And those different because of XYZ, you know, whatever. Like, I think we get so caught up again because of the creature comforts now where we go like, no, we're all the same and yada yada, and it doesn't work that way. No, we're not. Like you said, no, we're not. Like, I am physically able to defend myself as a 35-year-old man, you know, like at 2 a.m. walking down whatever street than a 35-year-old woman who weighs 130 pounds who's like I think you can't ignore that. And as a society, we've gotten away from sort of that of like,
bro, let me tell you who's not equal at 2 a.m. or 11 p.m. Bro, I had an incident at the house a couple of days ago where I went outside about 11 p.m. I think it was last Friday probably last Thursday. I went outside before I went to bed. It was after 11 o'clock. I'm taking out the trash bin to the curb so they could pick it up the next day. And I see this man about across the street from me and about 3 houses down.
In your neighborhood?
In my neighborhood.
Okay, because you live like, you can't just wander in there. Like, you have to live in there. You got to go out of your way.
All right. So I'm taking the trash bin down to the street curb, and I see this guy, and he's, like I said, across the street, about 3 houses down, and he's coming out of like the front door of the house, and then walking across the lawn to the next house, and then turns and sees me, comes to the street, and I had to take out a few bins. So maybe it was Wednesday night. I don't remember. Anyway, so he comes down towards the street and then starts walking towards my house. Again, it's like it's probably close to 11:30 at this point. So I'm done taking my shit to the street. I bring the dogs inside, but I'm curious as to what this dude wants or where he's going or whatever. So I come back outside. And at that point, he's at my driveway, and he goes, "Bueno." You know I don't speak Spanish. I'm already like, fuck.
Like, ¿cómo está, compadre? He said, "Bueno." I'm dead.
So I go down there. Now listen, just to paint the picture, I'm ready for bed. I'm in my boxes. And a fucking and a like a Fruit of the Loom t-shirt. Okay, this dude as he approaches me on the driveway, he's got pajama pants, the same Fruit of the Loom t-shirt.
Y'all shop at the same place.
And you know those brown Puerto Rican slippers?
Oh yeah, the Jesus sandals.
Yes, the open toe joints.
Yep,
right.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So he comes up and he starts talking to me, and I tell him slowly, "Y'all don't speak Spanish."
And y'all gotta see Sean. If you don't know Sean, you had the best description of it. Like, you're a coconut because you are brown on the outside, but you are white as fuck in the middle. So
and now we know why.
And now, yeah. Sean looked like he should be able to respond to you in Spanish, but he don't know shit. Especially in Kissimmee,
bro. Yep. So he starts talking to me in his broken English. Literally, bro, for about 3 seconds, and then goes right back into Spanish, and then doesn't stop. He's just going off.
He done used all his words. That's as far as Inglés en Barrera got. Inglés sin Barrera. What the fuck is it called? One of those. The Babel for learning English,
bro. So he goes. So at this point, I still don't know who this guy is. So I put the right foot back because I don't know.
You ready to cock and lock
what
it?
this guy's about to do.
I put the right foot back.
Y'all don't know what I'm talking
Y'all
about
know what
too.
you're talking about, yo. That's
all the fellas know what I'm talking about. When you know you gotta get in your stance, that you may have to knock somebody out. That was the stance that I went into.
The fellas know.
So, but then as he kept talking, and I reminded him that I don't speak Spanish, he immediately goes back into English, his broken English, again for about 2 seconds, and then goes back into Spanish. So I tell him in my broken Spanish to wait.
Espérate, papi. Espérate.
I think I left the papi out.
Wait, why were you telling him to wait? Were you getting backup, like a translator? What was going on? You were getting a translator?
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm going to go in my house, grab the wife. Because at this point, I think I'm at the point where I'm going, he's not a threat. This guy's fucked up. Like, something's wrong with him.
Okay.
So I go in the house, I grab the wife, and I'm just like, listen, old man outside, he seems to not be like all there, but he's not threatening.
Do you think it could have been like dementia or something
Absolutely,
like that? Okay,
bro. So that's what happened. So
he's that old.
So he's probably like in his 70s, 80s, in that area.
Okay.
So I bring her outside.
Damn, 70. Okay, so
yeah,
he's
bro.
Not, yeah, okay.
So he's telling her this story in Spanish about how he went to this grocery store. His wife sent him to the store to get some stuff, and his van is parked somewhere around here, but he can't find it.
Okay.
Meanwhile, he's in a neighborhood, bro. There's no grocery stores. The nearest grocery store is probably between a quarter to half a mile away.
So you can't even like.
No, we're not going to the grocery store to go find his car.
Wow.
Anyway, bro, so we start to walk out, and he goes, "Oh, it's somewhere around here." So we're walking together with him, and then I go, "Yo, ask him if he remembers a phone number." Luckily, bro, the guy remembered the phone number.
Wow.
We called his phone number. His wife picks up, tells us, "Yo, I just got up from I had a headache. I went to sleep. This dude went outside to take out the recycle bin.
He ain't been back.
And he ain't come back.
There's a whole silver alert out for this motherfucker."
So, bro, she goes, "Yo, I literally just started praying that he was okay, and you guys called." She goes, "Normally I wouldn't pick up the phone, but I picked it up." And then so we're like, "Yo, send us your address." And then, dude, he was only about 2 miles away.
He wandered 2 miles?
He wandered
That's a long way,
it's
bro.
long, bro.
I was going to say, because I walk the dog like a couple miles. 2 miles is a long fucking way, bro.
Yeah, bro. And in his pajamas.
Wow.
And those Puerto Rican chancletas.
And he was, and them Puerto Rican sandals, bro. That's the different. I mean, Jesus did it, but holy shit, bro. You talking about them leather joints with the yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, bro. Godly, with your toes all out.
Yeah, man. So you know what, man? I was like super grateful.
Did you give him a ride back? Or
yeah. We put him in the car, bro.
Wow.
I put him in the car. She sent us the address.
And he didn't fight you. He didn't resist. He didn't.
He started crying, bro.
Oh man.
Because he was like, "Yo, I know that I forget," and. So he started crying, and then my wife was consoling him, it's okay, we found out where you live, and we're gonna take you home.
Oh, that's dude. That because he said he's probably clearly suffered from dementia. I think it was Schultz. He was on Rogan. He was talking about how his mom had just thrown him a birthday party, and his dad suffered from dementia.
Yes.
And he was talking about how because of the way dementia affects you, your long-term memory is okay. Mm-hmm. So you remember shit from way long ago. So she had invited a bunch of his friends and pals and all that from
back in the day.
Back in the day. And he was sort of very much present and remembered these people and celebrated and knew all this stuff. And it was almost
he was normal for a day.
Unbeknownst to him, he was normal for a day, and he recognized these people, and he had talked about what a gift that could be for someone who's going through that and they don't even know it. And your story made me think of that, where it's just fuck, man, what is that? What's that like? I would hate to be in a position to be that vulnerable. I hate to be that vulnerable now on stuff at a much smaller scale. I can't even imagine at 70, 80 years old like wandering aimlessly,
right?
Not knowing what your purpose is, or maybe there was a purpose when he started, and then you just forget. Like at some point,
yeah. Well, I tell you, he just came out to put the recycle bin, and they lived in a typical like lot, you know. So it wasn't like an acre or anything like that. Like he just came out to the street.
Yo, you go put it down, and then you just go, let's go see what's past these walls or past this curb or past this. Bro. Like, you start walking.
And so you know what I thought about after was obviously. Super happy that we were able to help this guy get home, but like, what if I'm not out there?
Yo, how many people walked by that guy?
Well, nobody, because there's nobody walking my neighborhood.
But even in your neighborhood, man, how many people would have walked out of their house and saw him and been like, "Hey, hi,"
bro?
And
I think
back
that
inside
the house that I first saw him coming from, if they had a ring and they saw this old man outside in pajamas, they're like, "Nah, bro, keep it moving."
Yeah, like luckily it was you guys, and you guys had the wherewithal to go.
Not for nothing, bro. Like, I was mad skeptical of him coming up there.
Of course,
I'm ready to knock his ass out.
I don't care how old you are. I'm about to fuck you up if you walk up to my house.
Yeah.
And like you said, you're over there wearing like. I think my first like inclination would be like, all right, man, are you like mentally? Are you all there?
Right.
Now you're unpredictable. I don't care how old you are, you're still unpredictable. I don't know you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, for you guys to have sort of the wherewithal to go, okay, like something's off, talk to him, just get him back to where he belonged. Because man, how many people get hurt like that? How many guys don't make it back home, or that ends up being a longer ordeal, or you know, like you said, his wife was already praying. Like obviously she knew, like, oh fuck, this dude done like took off, and
yeah, man,
who knows? Maybe he sleepwalks, or maybe he's prone to. Dude, have you ever talked to people who have parents with dementia who live with them?
I knew someone. I know someone who had it, but the person has since passed.
The stories are so heartbreaking, man, because I can't imagine like
what that's like.
Oh my god, like I think about my mom, like the stories that people tell me about like dealing with their parents with dementia, and I'm just like, I can't imagine what that's like them not remembering you, them fighting you, them wanting to leave the house, you finding them out in the middle of the highway or a street, or you know, it's like living with a toddler who is physically capable of doing everything, you know what I mean, like but
doesn't understand where they're
but is incapable of understanding stuff like that. That's wild, man. Like,
I used to have a neighbor, man, that his the neighbor that owned the house, it was a couple, and then they had their daughter and the daughter's husband living with them, and I was friends with the daughter's husband, and he would be like, and he was a Spanish dude, he'd be like, it's like two kids.
We're so articulate. Fucking dead.
Dude.
Fuck, man.
Dude, let's get on something else, man. Get off that shit.
Yo, dude, we're almost an hour in already.
I know.
Man.
I knew we were, bro.
Shit,
I knew we were.
What you got, man? You got anything you want to jump into?
Got that shit, man. You seen the Antonio Brown shit?
Did I? Break it down, bro.
For those of you who don't know, Antonio Brown is a former NFL wide receiver, and he had some choice words this week. I think he's posted on, like, I don't know if it was Instagram or whatever, but he goes, his biggest regret is not being able to see himself play in a game live.
Which might be the cockiest shit I've ever heard someone ever say.
He went on to say it would be like watching the Beatles or Jesus perform at the Red Rocks. Isn't Red Rocks in Vegas?
You know, yep. You know, out in the desert somewhere, Vegas or Utah, some shit. Okay. Like, I love this because, like, first off, as a fellow petty human being, that would be my response to something like being petty. But I think Antonio Brown truly believes this shit, so it makes it even like funnier.
Dude, is anybody picking that guy up? I doubt it. At this point,
I think at this point, no, because I don't think the productivity is worth the risk and the backlash. Like, I think wide receivers now are a dime a dozen out of college, where you go, how much more am I getting out of Antonio Brown at this stage versus...
Right. How old is he? He's got to be in his 30s, right?
He's in his 30s, and he's not
right at
that
30?
old. Like, he's still like at the age where he could be productive. I just don't know that it's productive enough to outweigh the drama.
Right.
Like, and so I think people have to weigh the drama, and it's not worth it. Because you can draft a wide receiver now in the first 2-3 rounds, and you go,
and they'll be productive.
Yeah, they may not be Hall of Famers, right? Like Antonio Brown statistically should be a Hall of Famer, but you go, yeah, I could probably get guys in the first 2 rounds that aren't going to be that far off, and I don't have to deal with all this other shit that I have to deal with Antonio Brown. So,
and that dude, for those of you who don't know, like, I mean, he was on the Steelers for many years, and then he left out to the Raiders, I believe it was. But then he did some. What did he do?
Caught his GM a cracker and then didn't show up to practice.
Yeah,
and
so
then,
he just been.
He was a wild boy.
And then from there, was it Tampa?
Yeah, went to Tampa, and that didn't last very long.
No, they won a Super Bowl with him.
That's right.
Right.
And then he gets cut last year, and then that's the infamous Jets thing where he's waving at. Yeah.
But they told him to go in the game, and then he refused to. So, you know what? Like I say, just to see some of these athletes that we look up to, or that people that follow sports look up to, do shit like this, and to see the way they think, should make you think twice about
absolutely
idolizing those people.
Oh yeah, bro. Like I mean, there's flawed human beings like the rest of us, right? Like they're just really, really good at what they do, but they're flawed human beings. Like
maybe you need some LSD, bro.
Yo,
did you see this LSD shit?
I did not. What is popping off with this? I did see some Aaron Rodgers shit with psychedelics, but not LSD.
Oh, okay. No. They did a study. So, and I don't know who it was. So I don't have that information. But there was a study done on LSD recently. For those of you who don't know, it's the street name for LSD is acid. And the studies on it basically said that, well, first of all, they've been using it, I think, in Canada to treat things like anxiety. And depression.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I've heard of that.
But new studies have shown that it actually helps with your memory. And it's been tested on mice, which is, we always test it on mice, and men. So as of, there was 25 people that they took. They gave some the LSD, small dosages. Some of them, they gave a placebo. And they found that the memory was better with the folks that actually got LSD. Now, let me tell you something, man. You ever take it? You ever take LSD?
I have never done any hallucinogens.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, so I did it literally a handful of times, maybe 4 or 5 times as a teenager. It was something it was so unpredictable that I didn't like it. I was just no, I never know how I'm going to feel on it. There's been a few times, let's say there was twice where I go, oh, that was an amazing experience, and then it was maybe 2 or 3 times where I felt the exact opposite.
So you've experienced the effects of it before, but you didn't feel like you could count on it being it wasn't consistent.
Definitely wasn't consistent.
Okay.
And I knew guys that used to do a lot of it, and I remember them telling me I've done so much that there'll be certain days where I'll just be somewhere and I'll start tripping. Okay. And I remember those stories scaring me to go wait a minute, man. I don't want to be fucking tripping on, at a time when I haven't taken it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that, I remember that for me. And then also, man, remember the old shit, Faces of Death?
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Faces of Death had, and I don't know what episode it was or which edition it was. There was one of them where it showed this guy on LSD. He goes to rob a bank, gets into the vault where the money is, and as he's taking stuff out, the vault closes at a certain time.
What?
So as he's in there gathering shit, the vault door closes, and it's on a weekend. So the vault is closed until Monday, and he suffocates to death.
Oh fuck.
So I know, and I know, I remember not feeling like robbing anything, right? But I do remember this feeling, especially when you first take it. In the first hour, the first feeling that I got was I was invincible. So I wonder if
and there's a lot of people that die on LSD because they do dumb shit because they feel like they jump off buildings.
Yes,
they head dive
no one has
pools.
ever died from like overdosing LSD. So like the overdose factor is almost non-existent.
Okay.
So I think that the medical field has found, treatments that or ways that LSD can help certain people in certain dosages. Because like I said, no one has ever overdosed, at least the article that I was reading, on LSD.
No, and I was while you were talking, I was looking up because I was trying to think of the name of the operation, but I found it. One of my favorite books that I've read in the last couple of years has been a book called Chaos. It's by Tom O'Neill, and it's about Charles Manson.
Oh yeah,
and the book is about
he's dead now, right?
Yeah, Charles Manson is, but the book was about how it theorizes that the American government created Charles Manson as we know him, the serial killer. Charles Manson was obviously a troubled individual. He had a lot of shit going on, and sort of maybe he needed a nudge in a specific direction. And so a lot of it has to do with Operation MK Ultra, which the CIA used LSD to sort of they experimented with LSD and what it would do to people. Okay. And so a lot of things, and not to get too far down a rabbit hole, but it was like they would take like white collar, perfectly normal quote unquote dudes who maybe worked Wall Street or financial sectors and all that, and they would put them with LSD and then they would stick them in rooms with like strippers and anyway, and they would watch like the decisions that they made and they would see how they could control them. Okay. And whether it was planning subliminal messages or outright messages, but anyway, they sort of the theory in Tom O'Neill's book is that Charles Manson was one of these subjects. Charles Manson was one of these guys who should have never been free to begin with. Like he had a really shitty juvenile history. He had a very shitty upbringing. He had so many opportunities. We should have been in jail for a long time. And sort of the book goes into all these things where like he either got out on probation, someone bailed him out, someone whatever. And then the theory is that it was the American government or it was connections that he had. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that they were experimenting. The CIA was experimenting with LSD and the mind control that it has over individuals and sort of how they were able to use that. And sort of Charles Manson might have like been the experiment gone wrong, so to speak. Man, I've heard of a lot of people either tout the sort of benefits of being on LSD now or psychedelics in any capacity.
Like the microdosing. Psilocybin has been big in the news in the last few years.
And even some states of Oregon has gone so far as to like legalize psilocybin to like treat depression and anxiety and that sort of stuff. So like, man, I think it's one of these things where like it definitely like it'd be interesting to take this deep dive. Like I feel like in 10, maybe not even that long, like 5-10 years from now, we're like going to be able to look at these studies or these events that have happened, how many of them are tied back to like psychedelics like LSD. Because like I don't know if you see like Aaron Rodgers, like NFL quarterback. He did the ayahuasca thing,
that's it.
And which is a psychedelic, which man, we've talked about this on here before. I am all about like that's one of these experiences in life that I really want to experience. Like
I do too. I'm scared.
I was literally just gonna say that. Like I'm petrified of it, but I also really want to know what that's like. Like I've bought into the hype. I'm scared of it, but I'm scared of it to the point where I'm so scared of it that I want to face that and I want to see what that's like. So shit, if anybody knows anybody who can take you down this road to ayahuasca, like holla at your boy, because
we can find out.
Oh yeah, listen, and I'm pretty sure if I do the homework and I go down, I could find somebody. But I am 1,000% sure that I want to try this ayahuasca thing, and like I'm really committed to wanting to try that. Just if not for anything, just saying that I've done it and the experience of having, because I've never spoken to anyone who's on ayahuasca who's gone, not once. And so like, I do want to try that. But the LSD thing, man, it's interesting because like, do psychedelics unlock sort of like this subconscious thing in your brain that's like this I don't know, this realm between reality and fantasy and like this truth in there that maybe we're not willing to face if we're not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe I'm drunk. I don't know.
I've heard so much shit like that, from celebrities that have done it. And so yeah, definitely interested in doing it. And like you said, it'll be interesting to see where this study of LSD and the uses of it can actually help people.
Dude, read the book. I would say if you're not interested in Charles Manson or serial killers,
Yep.
but just from the LSD standpoint, that book Chaos, Tom, it's such a fascinating read.
Okay.
And so much of it is centered around this LSD Operation MK Ultra by the CIA. It's worth doing, man.
Yeah, that's dope. I'll check it out
for sure.
All right, man. I know we over an hour.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What's up with this Nevada woman?
Yo.
Is that a good one to end with?
It's sort of like I feel like this is one.
If you got something else, man, hit me with something
better.
else.
Yo, actually, I kind of want to talk about Trump. If I'm being honest, can we talk about our former celebrity in chief, bro?
You trying to go an hour on that?
I'm a
go
maybe.
For it, man.
We won't, bro. So, I just feel like we didn't mention this recently, but like, so Trump buried his ex-wife.
I saw he was there.
Yeah.
Did he? I'm assuming he paid for all of that.
So Ivana Trump, his ex-wife, the mother of Ivanka and Eric and Donald Jr. Passed away, whatever, like a month ago, whatever it's been now. It's been a little bit early summer. Anyway, he buried her at the Bedminster golf course in New Jersey. I don't know if you saw this.
At a golf course?
Yes, his golf course.
Okay.
So there's a speculation.
So is there a cemetery at his golf course?
There is now, because Ivana Trump is buried
on hole
2. You could tee off on hole 2 and pay your respects all at the same time. But so the Trump and I feel like there's been all these clickbait articles about like, oh, he did this for it was like, oh man, he buried Ivana there, that's kind of weird. And then a lot of these other clickbait articles have been like, is he doing this for tax play? And as someone who like reads into like everything from that perspective, like whether it's monetarily or financial, and I know Donald Trump, there's no move that happens from that family, or I think Donald, that isn't somehow
financially driven.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And so he buries her at his Bedminster golf course, right? Like, and if you go back years ago, back in 2016, he started taking out permits to turn Bedminster golf course into a cemetery, or part of it.
Oh, wow.
Into like certification for a cemetery in the state of New Jersey.
He knew something was coming.
And then he started, yeah, absolutely. He knew somebody was going to die. And then he wanted to start a cemetery company or entity, right, that would manage or operate this cemetery on the Bedminster golf course. So the thing about cemeteries in the state of New Jersey is that you sort of get the trifecta of tax freeness. You operate a cemetery in New Jersey, you don't need to pay sales tax, you don't need to pay property tax, you don't need to pay income tax. And so a lot of the speculation,
the whole golf course could be that.
The whole golf course. Now, if you go further into the legislature, is like the golf course needs to be like mainly used for cemetery purposes. Like there's all these loopholes, or not loopholes, but there's all this criteria that he has to sort of meet to get there. Which, not to say that he couldn't get there, but it'd be kind of difficult. But then I started taking a deeper dive, and it turns out that his golf course, he's also actually even had categorized as farmland, because he's chopped down trees and turned them into mulch, and that's all you need. And so by turning it into farmland, he's reduced the property tax on his golf course, so he doesn't pay his property tax bill is very cheap already. And so he's sort of been reducing this. The cemetery on the plan, back in 2016, they took out this permit and they started this company, and it was basically to bury, I think the plots, it's 10 plots. So you figure that's him, the wife, all the wives, all the kids, all the stuff. Like, he started to do this, and I go, yeah, so now you get a portion of that, even if only a portion of it qualifies under tax free. So now you got a portion of it under the farm thing, and you got a portion of it under the cemetery thing. And it's hard to ignore the fact that it's Donald Trump, and you go, fucking genius, bro. Like, you bury your ex-wife in this golf course that you love to play at, that she probably bitched at you the whole time for going to play at, and you're like, yeah, now I get a tax break. But also, like, I just don't think that family moves without sort of anything like this thought. Like the fact that he took out a permit for up to 10 plots, and this is sort of like a specific amount of land. Maybe it's not all of it. Like, this is well thought out. This is into the future.
Absolutely,
like,
bro.
And I feel like I'm like, man, this went sort of under the radar. Like, nobody talked about Donald doing this and burying like why would you bury your ex-wife at your favorite golf course, like the one that you play at all the time?
Dude, not for nothing, man. In some respect, we all should be thinking like that.
Abso-fucking-lutely. I also thought, bro, is Donald Trump the greatest feminist of all time? just gonna throw this out there, bro. Yo, Donald.
Give me the argument.
Listen, this is my argument for Donald Trump being the greatest feminist of all time. First of all, he hired chicks that were so underqualified to do the jobs they were. Like, what was the girl's name who was like his secretary of the chief of staff or whatever the fuck he was, the press secretary. The little blonde chick who looked like she worked at Starbucks. Bro, first of all, he hired her. Then he has the Miss Universe pageant where he sits there, he crowns the best looking woman, gives her an apartment in New York for a year, a 6-figure salary, like to be Miss Universe. Like all she had to do was be pretty and be able to like hula hoop or whatever the fuck Miss Universe is. Bro. And then even if you think about the whole, I grab her by the pussy and they just let you, if you're a billionaire, they let you. Bro, your body, your choice. If that isn't the most feminist statement I've ever heard. Yo, Donald might be the leader of the feminist movement, bro. I don't feel like we're giving him enough credit.
It's all his fault.
It's all. Shout out to
the Donald Trump.
Donald J. Trump for leading the feminist movement.
Yo, and on that, tell them where they can find us.
If you're not already following us at the Cover Football Podcast on IG, on TikTok, on YouTube, hit the like button over here, subscribe button over there, turn on your notifications. And Apple Podcasts, man, you can leave a review on Podchaser. You can leave a review, Stitcher, Ghana, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, JioSaavn, all of them, man. If you're not, and then go on social media, man. We're on all of them, and leave us some feedback. If we suck, tell us we suck. If we're good, tell us we're good. If you got some drink ideas, man, I like the drink ideas. Keep them coming, man, because we've been like scraping the bottom of the internet for drink recipes.
Dude,
like,
I had somebody ask me the other week, and they're like, man, like, where do you guys get like the new drinks every week? And I'm like, we scour the internet, but also we scour the internet and then we'll grab stuff and then we'll kind of put our own spin on it.
Yeah. I love doing that. Like grabbing a recipe and going, ooh, what if we added, like we did this today where you had this and we're like, all right, what is it missing? What does it need? What is it that? I love doing that, man. I'm also sober phobic, so I like to fuck around with drinks all the time.
All right, yo, as always, we appreciate you guys and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.